Well, it is going to be a very, very emotional and willful cycle with both the sun, earth, and the nodes activating the channel of community. This is going to really amplify any sense of belonging or not belonging, loyalty, betrayal, friendship, jealousy, or feeling taken advantage of. Do you feel supported? Whether yes or no, it's going to be heightened this cycle. These are all pressures, qualities, and questions that this cycle of the human design weather for February 24th to March 1st, 2026 bring. So keep those surfboards out to ride these emotional waves. You'll see as we go through this that it's not just the channel of community bringing emotionality. So really piling up this cycle. Well, hello, and welcome to the Human Design Whether or Not podcast with me, Margot Fraser. We're just going to dive right into this cycle and what it brings. So it starts on February 24th at 1:49 a.m., going until March 1st at 4:11 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Universal Time coordinates coming in February 24th at 8:49 a.m., going until March 1st at 11:11. Remember to convert that to your own time zone so you know when it starts and ends for you. We always start with the Sun Earth activations because that's 70% of the conditioning field. We have one of three special Sun Earth oppositions in human design where they actually create a channel. In this case, the channel of community. Now, we're no stranger to this channel as we've had the nodes in these same gates since December 22nd. I'll talk a bit about the individual gates first, but spend more time on the channel as the channel themes always dominate over the gate themes. We have the sun moving into gate 37, the trait of friendship, the family in the solar plexus center, the emotional center. It's both a motor that generates the ups and downs of the emotional wave and an awareness center, our emotional awareness. This trait is part of the tribal circuitry that brings the theme of mutual support. Do you feel supported, and who are you supporting? Its keynote says the manifestation macro and microcosmically of the organic nature of communities. How and why do communities form? It's people coming together to provide mutual support to each other and create something greater than any one person could do alone. This trait of friendship brings the possibility to offer support and friendship to others. It's associated with touch. That's how the tribe can communicate, right? That hand on the shoulder, whatever it might be. So you might find yourself being more affectionate this cycle. You can think of this trait as the glue of the community. People don't come together if there's no camaraderie and possibility for friendship and support. This is a trait that can bring harmony to the family, to the community or not. The polarity can always be there. It's also the gate of the mouth that wants to be fed. This activation could help you to recognize over time who will and won't provide resources, provide what's needed, and to distribute resources that you do have fairly. This trait is very sensitive to the bargain, whether it's fair or not. You may find those that you can be loyal to and are loyal to you. However, if you're not waiting out the emotionality that's inherent in this trait to get that clarity, you could be taken advantage of. And there can be betrayal instead of loyalty. The Earth has moved into gate 40, the trait of aloneness and deliverance in the ego center. That's also called the heart center, and it's a motor that generates willpower. You can think of this as the breadwinner trait, the provider. It's using willpower to deliver what's needed to the family and to the community. Deliverance can be around material resources, and it can also be deliverance in a spiritual sense, delivering into an experience of awakening. This is the ego And the ego needs to be massaged. It needs to be appreciated and honored. It needs to receive affection in order to deliver. That's part of the role of that gate 37 on the other side, that trait of friendship that it connects to. Now, the thing about the ego center is that it does need its rest. You can't sustain willpower forever. Just like the heart and the stomach, they work and they rest and they need both to function correctly. That's why the keynote is the point of transition between struggle and liberation. Struggle is work, and liberation is the freedom to rest, to be free of struggle. There's the tension of work and then the relaxation. The presence of this trait could help you to find balance between work and rest and to take time to enjoy the fruits of your labor. This trait is associated biologically with the stomach. If you're not honored for what you provide to family and community, this is a trait that could have you withdrawing to be alone and to rest. Also, if this will's not used correctly in the right timing, because it's the gate of the stomach, it could lead to digestive problems. For better or worse, with this activation, you may find that you simply don't want to work on what's not aligned for you. When we look at the Sun Earth positions together, we get that full channel. So let's take a look at that now. A reminder that when the transit field creates a channel, everyone that doesn't already have it in their chart is receiving activation of the related traits and qualities. So there's a big impact that way. So we'll look at this channel of community, and then we'll move on to the other channels that are here this cycle. Now, the channel of community is a design of a part seeking a whole. As I mentioned, we have the nodes also in these gates. So everything that this channel brings is going to be extra amplified this cycle. It's a channel that activates the emotional center, the solar plexus center, and the ego heart center for everyone in the world. Tribal emotionality operates in a ratchet wave that ratchets up bit by bit when not supported and eventually spills out. And whatever that final trigger is, what comes out is often all the ways that the support didn't happen. So it's not just about what happened in that moment. There's the potential for you to be ratcheted up, and perhaps that's spilling out while this is active. On the other end, the ego center, well, the ego center is only defined for about 35% of the population. That small triangle to the right of the center diamond will be colored in red in your chart if it's defined. Most of you, though, don't have it defined. It'll be white in your chart, and anything that's white in your chart takes in and amplifies the frequency. So you're going to have amplified willpower in that case. If you don't have it defined in your own chart, it means you're not here to make promises. You're not here to prove yourself in any way. You're valued just as you are, but your not self mind could have you trying to prove that you are of value, and out of that, working harder and longer to deliver on whatever it is that you think is needed. Or you could abandon work that you should be doing to rest. This ego gate says, why should I work to provide to others when they don't even appreciate it? The channel of community is the channel of the marriage contract and bargains. If you have to negotiate or renegotiate a contract, this could actually be a really good time to do it. Make sure, though, that you really take time to get clear on what would actually be fair to you. If you've been working hard, you might find you want to rest and really recuperate this cycle. If you do have this channel in your own chart, it's really important that any bargains and contracts, even with a spouse, what is the balance of responsibilities going to be? Who's going to do what? It needs to be written down. It doesn't seem very romantic to do that, but with this channel, it really helps to maintain harmony. And of course, you can go back and renegotiate when needed. If you are in contracts and bargains that are not fair, that's going to be amplified this cycle. There could be this really heightened sense of being taken advantage of. There's always possessiveness when it comes to the tribe, so jealousy could be in the air as well. We have the mouth of gate 37 meeting the stomach of gate 40, and the tribe is social, so it could be a really good time to enjoy a meal together with family and friends. As the design of a part seeking a whole, you could feel pressure to really find your place in your family, in your community, and spiritually in the totality. So be open to the give and take of relationships. At the same time, watch for joining a group that's not aligned just in order to get that sense of belonging. At a collective level, fairness in distribution of resources and societal support structures, as well as trade negotiations, could really be highlighted. Okay, we have another emotional channel that's going to be here for the full cycle. It actually came in towards the end of the last cycle on February 23rd, and it's going to be here until March 2nd at 11:05 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, which is 6:05 p.m. UTC. We have Mars activating gate 30, the trait of recognition of feelings in that solar plexus emotional center, connecting with Pluto activating gate 41, the trait of contraction and decrease in the root center. Together, they create the channel of recognition, a design of focused energy. This is part of the abstract experiential circuitry. And here it's the drive and pressure to enter into a new experience. And in gate 41, it starts with fantasy, fantasizing about all the different experiences that you could have, and then focusing it down to the one that's most of value and reasonable to complete through this channel, and recognizing the feeling that's really desired. What is it that you really yearn for? Gate 30 is that gate of desire, the clinging fire. Then you have to wait with the desire to see if it can really be fulfilled. This is emotional, so it takes time, again, to get that clarity. This channel brings the potential challenge to a known experience. What's around the next corner? What would it be like to blah, 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 whatever it is? What are you really hungry for? It brings the opportunity to get clarity from all the new experiences that you might fantasize about having in the future to narrowing it down to the one that you truly desire. The caution with the experiential circuitry is that there can be no expectations. And that really is tough to do with this particular channel. As well, there can only be one experience at a time. If you're trying to have a bunch of experiences at the same time, you never get the true depth and breadth and all the wisdom that that experience could bring out. We have one channel that's being created by the transit of the moon. So it's just a little sampler because the moon only activates a gate or a trait for about 10 or 11 hours, give or take. This is coming in February 25th at 9:43 a.m., going until 7:14 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. UTC coming in on the 25th at 4:43 p.m., going out on the 26th at 2:14 a.m. We have the moon moving into gate 12, the trait of caution in the throat center. It's connecting with Mercury's position in gate 22, the trait of grace or disgrace. Together, they create the channel of openness, a design of a social being. Another emotional channel. That expression in gate 12 is empowered by the emotional motor and possible awareness of gate 22. It's going to bring the pressure to be socially open or closed. It can bring the intensity of emotions to the mood, whether up or down. It can also bring romance and passion. It can shift others' emotions. It's the only social channel in the individual circuitry. It brings the possibility for bringing your unique expression to social interactions in a way that could mutate them, it could shift them, it could allow you to be open in a graceful way to others. On the other hand, If you pulse down in mood, you may just want to withdraw and be more socially closed rather than bring that bad mood to a social situation and splatter it all over everyone that's there. There can be emotional enthusiasm or volatility here with that connection from the emotional center right up to the throat. That brings us to our long term transits. The long term transits are created by the outer planets and the nodes of the moon. They're with us for longer periods of time, years in some cases. And so the not self mind could start to think that they're part of you, even when it's not something that you have in your own design. And then when the transit moves on, that could be rather confusing to the mind. Starting with the nodes in the transit field, they bring that homogenized perspective and direction that we'll see in the world. They continue to be in, as we've already talked about, the channel of community, a design of a part seeking a whole. Specifically, they're in line 4. So we'll take a look at those themes. For gate 37, the trait of friendship, line 4 is called leadership by example. In its exaltation, those that exhibit exemplary behavior and the highest principles will be seen as the leaders over those who would traditionally be seen as leaders. In the detriment, though, only the traditional, which is typically patriarchal leaders, are accepted, even if they're not good role models. Gate 40 brings an ego that will organize work to balance work and rest. So that's something that could really be helpful on a personal level. At the collective level, we're more likely to see the detriment play out where that ego just wants to be massaged to the point that it's trying to cater to everyone and spreading itself too thin. And this is where we can see the workaholic play out, which ultimately ends in being less productive. Looking at the outer planets now, Jupiter sitting in gate 53, the collective abstract trait of beginnings, expanding the pressure to start something new. It's in line 1 called accumulation. The exaltation is about the pressure to begin something new, not from scratch, but based on the foundation of the old. This is that introspective first line that wants a secure foundation. However, I'm not even sure if this exaltation is present in the world, so it might not even be available. Neptune hasn't activated this trait since 1909, so only if there's someone still alive from that time that carries this trait, that's the only way that this exaltation would still be in the world. So maybe not. In the detriment, there's this holding back in starting something new due to the criticism that was experienced last time. So the insecurity of the first line dominates here. Saturn and Neptune are both in gate 25, the individual trait of the spirit of the self, of innocence, and universal love. Neptune sitting in line 3, and that is called sensibility. It has a developmental theme that says the recognition that innocent action does not in itself guarantee success. Very practical here. With this line, we have only the exaltation active in the world, and it says the power of the ego to withstand failure and still maintain its nature, the power of the spirit to withstand failure and shock. So, very helpful quality. And Neptune's depth and psychic attunement could really support this. At the same time, Neptune is sometimes veiling, so it could be more difficult to recognize. On March 1st at 5:19 a.m., so almost at the end of this cycle, Neptune's going to move into line 4 called survival, which is where Saturn is for this full cycle. Line 4 has a developmental theme that says the nature of true innocence can be maintained regardless of circumstances. The exaltation says the beauty of the rose in the garbage dump. Jupiter is also exalted. The highest principles, even amongst the greatest decadence, the spiritual warrior, the innocence maintained regardless of circumstances, no polarity and no planet in detriment. So Saturn could really support this being present no matter what's going on around you with its quality of discipline. Neptune could make it harder to see this quality playing out. We have Uranus sitting in gate 8, the individual trait of contribution and holding together. This is the voice of, I know I can contribute or not. It's in line 4 called respect. It's been there for a while. This is where individuals could bring their unique contributions out to the community in an influential way and be seen as the leader, even though they might not technically be assigned as the leader. We could also see individual contributions that are not out of true creativity, but instead are out of the ego need to impress. Uranus can be sidetracking. So, what's contributed could take people off track. Pluto sitting in gate 41 in the root center, that collective abstract trait of contraction and decrease with that pressure to start a new experience. This is at the beginning of an experience, though. So, as we talked about with the channel, because it is in the channel for this full cycle, it's about fantasizing about all the experiences that you could have and then paring it down to the one that's really of value and practical. It's in line 3 called efficiency, with a developmental theme that says, in times of decrease, selfishness is justified. Third lines always have a theme of trial and error and bonds made and broken. So efficiency is not something that's just there. It's something that you learn about through trial and error and access through trial and error. So this is the energy that fuels the feeling for personal ambition. It's about figuring out through your own trial and error process which experience to go through, which feeling you really want, and bringing that drive of the root center to do it alone. Now, in the detriment, it's not going alone. It's wanting to bring others into the experience with you to share it with them. This is a collective trait. That does mean, though, more energy and resources are going to be used, and others are going to have their influence. So you're going to lose the purity, per se, of doing it your own way. Just two different ways to go through an experience there. Looking overall at what the transit field is bringing, well, it's all about community. With both the sun earth activations there and the nodes there, we really don't see it very often where we have both in oppositions that create a channel. So lots of people trying to prove themselves, and a heightened sense of unworthiness can go with this. We also have very high emotionality, not only from this channel, but also that channel of recognition from the root to the emotional center. All this desire and yearning and hunger for change, expectation and disappointment playing out in the community. Relationships could be really tested this cycle with this combination. And let's not forget about Mercury, which is going to be in gate 22 the whole cycle, as it's going to go retrograde on the 26th. So it's sitting in that gate of grace or disgrace, also in the emotional center. And that brings attentive listening or not. Venus will start in that same gate 22, and then it's going to move into gate 36, which is still in the emotional center and is that next step in the abstract experiential circuitry. It's where that energy from the 41, that fantasizing, up to the yearning. The 36 is, okay, let's really do it. Let's jump into this experience. So we could really see people taking action on their desires for change out of this pressure rather than out of their strategy and authority. You may see that playing out around you. We have all three emotional waves present: the ratchet wave of the tribe, the crashing wave of the abstract experiential circuitry, and the moody spike wave of individuality. So they can all pile up on each other. We also have 3 of the 4 motors activated. So a very energetic cycle. And if that energy, looking at this in the context of your own design, has no outlet to the throat, there could be a lot of restlessness that you feel. Logic, well, logic's nowhere to be seen in this other than glimpses now again through the moods transits. All right, remember that the transit field brings the traits that have the potential to homogenize us to their conditioning. And so it's what we see play out in the world where most people are not self rather than living their unique designs. With awareness, You can observe and learn from these frequencies rather than having them run you. That brings us to the end of the cosmic weather for this cycle. If you want to run your own chart, you can go to jovianarchive.com. If you're new to human design and you just want to understand the basics of the body graph at a high level, what's the black and the red about, the different geometric shapes, and so on, feel free to grab my free Human Design Basics mini course. It's at margotgfraser.com/human design. If you enjoyed this podcast, I'm always so grateful if you can give it a like and consider subscribing if it's correct for you. Okay, let's continue to keep those surfboards out to ride these emotional waves. Be aware of this pressure for change and to overwork and push through things that may not actually be the way you should be using your energy. If it's time for a break, do what you really enjoy and what allows you to recuperate. Take some time for yourself. Get those bargains and contracts in writing and make sure that they're fair. Go in knowing what's fair for you. And a great time to enjoy some social time with friends and family. All right, well, have a great cycle and may you know, love, and live the magic of your true nature. Until next time, bye for now.